ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. This is Narayan Sharma, working as Assistant Professor of Physics at Government First Grade College, Vartu, Bangalore. This lecture is a part of our Department of Collegiate Education's Digital Learning. So the paper is for PSC. The subject is Physics. And this paper is for the 6th semester. As there are two papers, the paper that I am handling is paper 8. So in this paper 8, the topic that I am discussing right now is about quantum mechanics part 2. And this is the first session. And the first session is about introduction to quantum mechanics. Before we discuss in detail about quantum mechanics, let us briefly discuss the objectives of this particular lecture. This is what I am doing for each and every session. So the objective of this particular session is as follows. Very first, we want to know the fundamental difference between Newtonian mechanics and quantum mechanics. We discuss about this. And in this session, we also try to understand the meaning of wave function. So it is one of the core quantity that we use in quantum mechanics. After defining wave function, we want to understand about the physical significance of the wave function. That is also we shall try to do in this lecture. And ultimately, wave function is basically a mathematical quantity, of course, with certain physical significance. Before we discuss the physical significance, we should also know some of the mathematical properties of the wave function, because it is basically a well-behaved function as per mathematics. So these are the 4 important points which are the objectives of my presentation. Okay. Let us discuss. So let us start discuss. So in bringing out certain basic differences between Newtonian mechanics and quantum mechanics. We know that both the Newtonian mechanics and quantum mechanics, they are very important part of physics. Newtonian mechanics is actually is what we call it as classical physics, a part of classical physics, and quantum mechanics is a part of modern physics. Although quantum mechanics is more finer than the Newtonian mechanics. For the sake of continuity, we should try to understand the basic differences between Newtonian mechanics and the quantum mechanics. Newtonian mechanics is actually concerned with the motion of a particle. We all know the equation F is equal to ma. So therefore, Newtonian mechanics can be handled just by using the equation F is equal to ma, where F is what we call it as the net force acting on an object. So therefore, essentially Newtonian mechanics is concerned with the motion of a particle under the influence of applied forces. And here, the very basic thing that is in Newtonian mechanics is that certain quantities like your position, mass, velocity, etc., those quantities are taken granted that they are absolute. That means these are the things which are always absolute and they can be measured without any inaccuracy. So this is what one of the fundamental notion of Newtonian mechanics, although we do not say it directly. So one of the fundamental of the Newtonian mechanics is that these quantities, position, mass, velocity, they can be measured accurately. This is the thing actually completely valid in our everyday experience. But this is not actually valid in the case of subatomic particles or subatomic particle world. So where we need to discuss quantum mechanics. Anyhow, in the case of our day-to-day experience, Newtonian mechanics works very well. So therefore, we can make use of rules of Newtonian mechanics in order to understand the behavior of the moving bodies. But now there is a problem. The problem is, if we want to discuss the motion of subatomic particles like electrons, protons, and neutrons, so Newtonian mechanics completely fails. doesn't give proper answers. So therefore, we cannot use Newtonian mechanics in order to understand the behavior of the particles, subatomic particles. So the very sharp tool or the branch of physics that we need to use in order to get proper result, very accurate result, is what we call it as quantum mechanics. So here also in quantum mechanics, so we are going to discuss the relationship between the observable quantities. There are several observable quantities even in Newtonian mechanics as well as quantum mechanics. Whereas in the case of quantum mechanics also there are certain observable quantities. Quantum mechanics basically actually gives the relationship between these observable quantities. But the thing is, there is a fundamental principle in the case of quantum mechanics, that is what we call it as Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. So it is this Heisenberg's uncertainty principle which makes a radical change in the field of quantum mechanics compared to the Newtonian mechanics. There is no such uncertainty principle in the case of Newtonian mechanics, because all the particles, all the objects, position, velocity, etc., can be measured accurately. Whereas such a thing is not possible in the case of quantum mechanics. So therefore, it is all because of Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. And according to Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, it is not possible to measure certain observable quantities accurately. And this is what the fundamental principle of the quantum mechanics. For example, if you take two important observables, position and momentum, so both these position and momentum cannot be measured accurately at the same time. Whereas there is no such a thing in the case of Newtonian mechanics, because if you consider any of the physical observable, all the physical observables can be measured at the same time accurately with 100% accuracy, of course. Now here, because of the uncertainty principle, as these quantities cannot be measured accurately, so therefore we talk of probability. So therefore quantum mechanics actually explains so probability of finding the particles and so on. So this is what the fundamental difference. So therefore in the case of Newtonian mechanics, we don't have uncertainty principle. All the physical quantities can be measured at the same time with 100% accuracy. Whereas according to quantum mechanics, there is no such thing as 100% accurate measurement. So it is bound by Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. So therefore, we cannot measure the quantities accurately with 100% accuracy. That is what the fundamental difference between Newtonian mechanics and the classical mechanics. Now let us move on. So we want to understand the concept of wave function. So we have already discussed about de Broglie waves. The de Broglie waves are nothing but matter waves. So the waves which are associated with material particles, moving particles, are called matter waves. And whenever we speak of waves, there is a variable quantity associated with the waves. For example, if we take one-dimensional sinusoidal sound wave, let us say, so then the variable quantity is nothing but so the displacement of the particles. Similarly, if we come to the quantum mechanics, in quantum mechanics also we are discussing about waves. The waves are nothing but matter waves or de Broglie waves. And the variable quantity that is associated with the matter waves or the de Broglie waves is what we call it as a wave function. Similar to disturbance of a particle in a regular ordinary mechanical wave, we have wave function in the case of de Broglie waves. And this quantity wave function is actually denoted by psi. For example, if a particle is moving at a particular point x, y, z in the Cartesian coordinates, and if you are measuring the position of the particle at a time t, then the particle is associated with the de Broglie wave, and de Broglie wave is mathematically represented by, so the wave function psi, and definitely psi is a function of the position coordinates x, y, z as well as time coordinates also. Just like, so electric field or magnetic fields of an electromagnetic wave is dependent on the position coordinates and the time coordinate time. So our wave function psi associated with the de Broglie wave is also a function of space coordinates x, y, z and the time coordinate t. The value of the wave function associated with a moving particle is related to the likelihood of finding the particle in a given place and time. So this is what actually the physical, regarding the physical significance of the wave function, which we are going to discuss little later. Anyhow, just now I would like to say that this wave function roughly, let us say roughly, So gives the likelihood of finding the particle. What we call it as probability of finding the particle. So probability of finding the particle at a given place at a given time associated with a given particle is measured by the wave function psi. Not directly by psi, it is by something else. We shall try to understand it a little later. So not only for a moving particle, this wave function can be defined for each and every physical system. You consider any physical system, for each and every physical system, it is possible to define this wave function psi. So therefore, a wave function psi is not only for a single particle physical system, it is applicable for any type of physical system. Any type of physical system is actually represented by the wave function psi. So this wave function of a physical system gives nearly complete information about the state of the physical system. So one of the important thing associated with the wave function of a particular physical system is that the complete information, whatever the whatever the maximum information that is actually possible for a given particular system, that can be completely taken out from this wave function psi of that particular physical system. So therefore, wave function psi gives complete information, not complete information, the maximum information regarding the state of the system. So therefore, this function is also called as a state function. Wave function, sometimes we also call it as state function. I have already mentioned psi itself has no physical significance. Wave function psi is basically a complex quantity. It can be a complex number. It can be a complex quantity for a general physical system. So therefore, complex quantities do not have direct physical significance. So therefore, psi has no direct physical significance. So psi cannot have a direct physical significance because it cannot be interpreted in terms of an experiment. So by the doing measurement in physics, psi cannot be measured. We can measure something else, that is what we call it as a probability. We discuss that a little later. Anyhow, so psi has no direct physical significance because psi cannot be measured experimentally. It cannot be associated with an experiment, so regarding the state of the system. Okay, so the reason is the probability that something be somewhere at a given time can have any value between two limits, 0 and 1. So if you want to find out the probability regarding a particular state of a system, so that probability can actually change from 0 to 1. If you say probability is 0, it means that, so the probability is 0 means you cannot find that particular system in that particular state. And if the probability becomes 1, so it actually corresponds to the certainty of its presence, or we can say that with 100% accuracy that the given system is in a given state accurately. So therefore, so your probability can change from, probability is a number which can change from 0 to 1. But if we directly measure psi, the amplitude of any wave may be negative as well as positive. Psi is also nothing but a physical quantity. It's a characteristic quantity associated with the particles, matter waves. So this psi can also become negative and positive. As I have already mentioned, psi can also become a complex number. So therefore, if it becomes negative or a complex, then the probability becomes a negative probability or complex probability, which doesn't have any physical name. So that's why we say that psi itself cannot be an observable quantity. Psi, wave function of a particular system, directly is not an observable quantity. It is something else which we'll discuss later. So therefore, psi doesn't have any physical significance directly because it can take positive values, it can take negative values, or sometimes it can also take complex values. These complex values or negative values cannot give any probability because the probability can always change from 0 to 1 positive number. So therefore, psi doesn't have any direct physical significance. But the thing is, if you go to modulus of psi square, if psi is a negative number, positive number, or a complex quantity, we take the modulus and if we square it, then this modulus of psi square becomes a positive number. It's a positive definite number which changes from 0 to any other value, 0 to any other positive value. So therefore, so this objection does not apply to modulus of psi square. Modulus of psi square is always a real number as well as a positive number. So it is the square of the absolute value of the wave function. So modulus of psi square is nothing but the square of the absolute value of the wave function. Absolute value means positive if you square it. So definitely we are going to end up with so a positive real quantity. So therefore, we call this modulus of psi square as a probability density. Why do we call this one as probability density? We shall try to understand when we discuss Max Born's probability interpretation. But anyhow, right now I would like to use the word that modulus of psi square is known as probability density. So the probability of experimentally finding a particle described by the wave function psi at a point x, y, z and at a time t is proportional to the value of modulus of psi square there at a particular time. If a particle is moving, then if you want to find out the location of the particle at a given place, let us say having coordinates x, y, z, and at a particular given time t, then probability of finding the particle must be a positive number, a real number, we know that one. So therefore, this probability of finding the particle at a given place and at a given time is not directly dependent on psi, it is directly dependent on modulus of psi square, because modulus of psi square is a real quantity as well as a positive quantity. So that's why, so this modulus of psi square is a measure of probability density, probability of finding the particle within a unit volume. We shall discuss this in detail little later. So therefore, so this modulus of psi square has a physical meaning, and this modulus of psi square is what we call as probability density, basically because modulus of psi square, this probability of finding the particle at a given place at a given time is not directly proportional to psi, it is actually directly proportional to modulus of psi square. So because modulus of psi square is a positive real number. Okay. So the wave function psi is generally a complex quantity. I have already told that wave function can also be a complex number. In majority of the physical system cases, psi is not a real number, it is a complex number. So therefore, if you represent psi as a complex number, then it actually consists of two parts. One is what we call it as real part, and another one is what we call it as complex part. So therefore, the wave function psi can be written as A plus IB, where A is called the real part and B is called the complex part. I is the square root of -1, the imaginary number, very well known imaginary constant, complex quantity that we discuss in the mathematics, where A and B are some real constant. So therefore, if I take the complex conjugate of psi, the complex conjugate of the wave function psi is denoted by psi star. So therefore, complex conjugate of psi star can be obtained by simply replacing I by minus I. So therefore, psi star becomes equal to A minus IB. So if you multiply psi star and psi, that is what actually gives us modulus of psi square, and therefore it becomes A square plus B square. So A is a real number, B is also a real number. A square plus B square are also real numbers. So if you sum up the two real numbers, we end up with a positive real number, that is for sure. So therefore, we can say that the wave function psi star psi, the product psi star psi r, which is also equal to modulus of psi square, is always a positive real quantity. So therefore, if you consider any physical system, in that particular physical system, modulus of psi square has a physical meaning, whereas the wave function psi doesn't have a meaning directly. So therefore, modulus of psi square is what we call it as probability density, and it is actually associated with probability of finding the particle at a given place and at a given time. We shall elaborate on this when we are going to discuss about Max Born's interpretation of the wave function a little later, maybe in the second session or the third session. Okay, let us proceed now. Now, basically, the wave function psi is also a mathematical quantity. Although it has a physical meaning, modulus of psi square has a physical meaning. So, psi, wave function psi is like a mathematical quantity. So, since it is like a mathematical quantity, it has to satisfy certain mathematical conditions. Apart from the physical conditions, it should also follow certain mathematical conditions. Let us discuss what are the mathematical conditions so satisfied by this wave function psi. The very first mathematical condition that the psi must obey is psi must be finite for all values of x, y, z. So if the values of x, y, z It has to satisfy certain mathematical condition. So the first mathematical condition is psi must be finite for all values of x, y, z. Psi cannot become infinity. If psi becomes infinity is what we call it as a singularity. And physical systems having a wave function becoming singularity, they are highly difficult. We cannot find such physical systems actually. But anyhow, mathematically, if psi becomes infinite at a particular place, it is what we call it as singularity. And such functions are very difficult to handle. So therefore, we expect our wave function to behave properly. And the first behavior is it should take finite values for all possible values of x, y, z. It should not become infinite at any particular point. The second important mathematical condition is that psi must be single value. So for each set values of x and y and z, psi must have only one value. Since modulus of psi square represents a physical thing, physical quantity, physical thing, probability. So therefore, probability cannot take two different values at a particular place and time. So therefore, we expect the value of psi to be single valued. So therefore, for a given place at a given time, psi must take only one possible values. And the next one, psi must be continuous in all the regions. Whatever the region, mathematical domain that we are discussing for a given wave function for a given physical system, we expect the wave function to be continuous. It should not have discontinuous values. And another important mathematical condition that must be satisfied by function psi must be, it must vanish at infinity. That means when x tends to infinity, y tends to infinity, as z tends to infinity. So wave function must vanish to 0. It should not keep on increasing, monotonically increasing. It cannot take on monotonically increasing values. So therefore it should vanish, or it should become 0. So at infinite places, like x tending to plus or minus infinity, y tending to plus or minus infinity, as z tending to plus or minus infinity. And one of the most important mathematical condition that must be satisfied by a function is that the first order partial derivatives of psi, that is, if we differentiate psi with respect to x, y, z, we end up with the dou psi by dou x, dou psi by dou y, and dou psi by dou z. They must also be finite, single valued, and continuous at all points. Not only psi, so dou psi by dou x, dou psi by dou y, dou psi by dou z, the first order partial derivatives of psi, they must also be finite, single valued, and continuous at all points. This last condition is to ensure that it is possible to build a second order differential equation in terms of psi for a given physical system. So it is possible to write a second order differential equation in terms of psi for a given physical system only when these terms, dou psi by dou x, dou psi by dou y, and dou psi by dou z, they are finite, single valued, and continuous at all points. So these are some of the important mathematical conditions satisfied by the wave function. We expect our wave function of a particular physical system to follow all these mathematical conditions. So these a wave function which satisfies these conditions, it is actually called a well-behaved function, wave function. So in physics, we entertain those wave functions which are not only physically well-behaved, which are also mathematically well-behaved, in the sense a mathematical wave function which has to satisfy all this mathematical condition. So this is the end of the first session. Thank you.